how many of you understand that when you're on steroids, things like prednisone, that keeping your patience is extremely hard? Hey folks, welcome to Transplant Helper. Today this is going to be a mobile version, so you won't necessarily see my eyes very much. You'll probably hear a lot of road noise in the background, as well as maybe some of these sun rays that are coming across the window right now. Let me ask you a pretty simple question. How many of you understand that when you're on steroids, things like prednisone, that keeping your patience is extremely hard, and that sadly, let's be honest about it, outbursts of anger can come pretty easily, that sort of thing. I know that. I deal with that, and typically I've noticed that it seems to be at times out of control, right? No control, we can't handle it, things just set us off, and that's the way it is. Well, I have also learned, and just listen to me, I've also learned that there are times, however, when, if needed, you can control it, okay? You can control your anger if you need to. And let me tell you a little bit of a story. I had to go this morning. I'm actually headed to the neurologist in Birmingham for a checkup. But I had to go this morning. On the way, as I was leaving, I had to go by and stop in to a specific place I won't name, but to purchase a battery for my daughter, her car. Her car battery was dying, dead, whatever. And I need a new battery. I knew that's what I needed. And so, I decided, okay, I will take her car, get a new battery in it. So I pull up to this place, which, by the way, have good core charges. So you get a little money back on your core, at least knocked off the battery. They have really good warranties. You can buy the El Cheapo battery and get a 2-year warranty on it. And that's worked out very well in the past because, I buy a battery. Within 2 years, something happens, I take it back. I expect to buy another battery, and they say, no, it's under warranty. Your battery's free. So that's happened a number of times, so I never go anywhere, save this one place to get my battery. So with that said, I pull up, I go in, I tell them I need a battery for a certain car. No problem, we've got it. It's $129, which seems a little bit higher than I normally pay, but anyway, here we go. I'll take it. And young lady, and this tells me, we got free installation. We'll put it in right now. Yes, ma'am. I appreciate that. I knew about that. That's why I came. So she comes out. Now, I remind you, I'm trying to go to Birmingham. I've got to go to the doctor, okay? And I'm kind of up against the wall of time. But anyway, so she comes out. She proceeds to take my old battery out. And I drive a Toyota, so the battery terminals and the battery mount use a 10 millimeter, let me say that again, a 10 millimeter little nut on top, or side and top, is what it is. Well, she proceeds to use like a 3/8, which I knew when she grabbed it, it wasn't going to work. And it started kind of messing up. It didn't work. So she said, well, it must be metric. And I thought, you think? But even though I'm on steroids, I handle my tongue, so I don't say anything. And she turns around, she digs through the toolbox. Finally, she comes up with an 11 millimeter. Now, let me say something. You know this. A 10 millimeter and an 11 millimeter are not the same, are they? Not even close. I mean, yeah, they're the next size, but they're not close. She uses the 11 millimeter on my battery, which I know if it's at all tight, she's going to strip my battery, okay? She's going to strip out the nut on my battery, which that's if it's really tight. I assume it's probably not. I put the last battery in it, and I don't tighten them that tight because I know I got to get them off. And it had been sprayed already. I skipped the steps. She'd already sprayed it with the lubricant and stuff to, eat away the corrosion, what have you. So, long story short, she proceeds to use the 11, not the 10, but she proceeds to turn it backwards, okay? Let me tell everybody something I learned as about a 4-year-old child that I hope the whole world can learn, and that is a little saying, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, okay? Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. If you think that way, you'll always turn nuts correctly. Now, there are a few cases, I know, like your lawnmower blades, when it's the opposite of that, but not the case on a battery terminal, not the case on most component parts on an engine. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. But she is turning it righty-loosey. So she thinks, I guess. And she turns and turns. Of course, she rounds the corners off the nut. Now, it will not work. So she said, well, there's something wrong with it. Let me go in and get help. I thought, good, go get help. And again, I'm trying to hold my tongue. I'm trying to be a nice guy. I'm not going to say anything. So she goes back into the store, brings out another employee. This time it's a male employee. And he grabs her 11 millimeter socket wrench, not 10, 11, that we've already established is the wrong size. He grabs the 11 millimeter socket wrench, he puts it on the nut, and he begins to turn it the wrong way, okay? He's also doing righty-loosey. That's not the way it goes. So he proceeds to rounding it off a little bit more. Then he says, I'll get it. Wait a minute. He turns around to the toolbox, digs around, gets himself a pair of channel lock pliers, adjustable pliers, gets himself a pair of channel locks, and proceeds to really hammering down on my battery terminal. Really turning it hard, but again, the wrong way, okay? He's going righty-loosey, so he thinks, and he makes it worse. Now so bad, I'm decided that maybe it's not going to work. Maybe we're stuck, and that puts you to have to cut the battery terminal off. You name it, it's hard, okay? Then he just walks back in the store. He's done. He doesn't say, sorry about that, thank you. He just goes back in the store. So he walks back in the store, disappears. She waits on him for a minute, thinking he's going to come back. When he doesn't, then she proceeds to tell me that she's going to get some other help. So she goes back in, gets another young lady, brings that lady out, and guess what she does? Drum roll. She grabs the same socket wrench, the 11 millimeter socket wrench. She puts it on the battery terminal, and she turns it, guess which direction? She turns it the wrong way, which for her is righty-loosey. It doesn't work, okay? Let me say again, we should be going righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So she can't get it right. Well, then at that point, this second lady, third person, says, I'll go and get a special tool, she calls it, in quotes. A special tool now. All right, I don't know anything that's better in most situations than a socket wrench to get. Anyway, I don't know anything better in most situations to get a nut off. So while she's gone, I proceeded to take matters in my own hands. Again, I need to be in Birmingham. I should have been headed to Birmingham 15 minutes ago. Still holding my patience, steroid patience. Yeah, holding my patience. While she's gone, I dig around in their little toolbox, and I get, thankfully, I get a 10 millimeter socket. Okay, that's the right size, 10 millimeter. I get the 10 millimeter socket. I pop it on her socket wrench and extension ratchet so that when she comes out, she'll have the right size. Well, she comes back out and was about to pick it up and probably, I guess, about to turn it the wrong way again, and I just reached in front of her. I didn't say a word. I just reached in front of her. In about 3 seconds, I turned it lefty-loosey, and it came right off. In spite of the fact the nuts were rounded off, I had the right size, I turned it the right way, and the nut came off. Then I proceeded the other side, same thing, the nut came off. Okay, we got the battery loose. I proceeded then to the battery mount, the hold down, lefty-loosey, came right off. Okay, we get it all pulled out. She lifts the battery out, gets it out of the way. Thank you for that. She turns around, sets the new battery in. Thank you for that. And then she proceeded to reach for the socket wrench again, which, you know, I couldn't let her do that. I grabbed it before she could get to it. I put my battery in, battery acid on my hands and all. I put my battery in, got everything mounted up. I told her thank you very much for her help. She's been awesome. So I told her today, probably a little lie, I guess. I said, you've been awesome today. Thank you for your help. I appreciate the battery. Y'all have a wonderful day. I proceed to go to get in my car. Of course, by the time I get in my car, I got to find out a way now to wash all the gunk off my hands before the skin falls off, gets eaten away. And so I do. I get out my water that I'm bringing with me to take my medicine a little bit. I wash my hands off a little bit, hanging out the door in the parking lot, hand sanitizer all over them. She steps back outside, appreciate her concern, and she says, are you okay? Did it not crank? I said, oh yeah, it'll crank. I'm not worried about it. It's going to crank. And she said, oh, well, I saw you sitting here. I thought it didn't crank. I said, no, ma'am, it's going to crank. Thank you very much. I'm just washing my hands. She said, oh, well, you should have wore gloves. Patience, friends, patience. Stay stronger.